My parents came here to Hawaii in 1929, and life was a little bit hectic, but good, and all was going very well until 4 years later, 1933, when I came along and blew the family budget. So.
The story of Outrigger's history is really an interesting one. It started as far back as our founders, Roy and Estelle, whose house was just up the street on Seaside and Lures, and they would literally rent the back rooms of their house out to visiting military folks. They then graduated to getting enough money to build a small apartment and rent it by the month.
So he built a group of apartments right down the street here on Kuhio Avenue, near the corner of Kuhio and Seaside. My father began to rent them out as hotel rooms by adding a little maid service.
And then they got enough money to build one hotel.
The Islander Hotel in 1947, which is a 5-story walk-up where the Waikiki theaters are now located. The whole family worked in there. My mother did the reservations. My father supervised construction. We had the kids. We were folding towels and serving pineapple juice to the tourists in the yard right next to the hotel.
And then they built another hotel.
In 1949, the property, the corner of Lures and Kalia and Beach Walk, had become available. It was sort of like an open garden area with a couple of cottages on it, and my father was able to acquire that, and that was where the Edgewater Hotel was first built, completed in 1951. These were very peaceful times, and the Halekulani was very low-key. Again, they were all low-rise, 1- or 2-story apartments and wooden buildings, and it was a great time in Waikiki.
And pretty soon, Roy and his wife had built 16 hotels throughout Waikiki, and perhaps most importantly, they had redefined the class of customer that could come to Waikiki. They made Waikiki affordable to the masses, and their timing was excellent because as all of these hotels were opening, was the front end of jet travel for the world. And so almost the rest is history as to what it means for Waikiki. This property that we're standing on here today was really a series of buildings that had built over a lot of years, designed for a different market and a different time.
It used to be really a bedroom community for downtown Honolulu.
I was very familiar with Lewis Street. Worked in Waikiki, certainly had an opportunity to see what Lewis Street was all about. You know, it was really a hotbed of entertainment back in the 60s and 70s and beyond.
My very first job after college was working at the front desk of 2 hotels. I worked at the then Outrigger East Hotel and the then Waikiki Village Hotel. The Waikiki Village Hotel lobby was really right down from where I'm standing here. I literally walked this place every day for a long period of time and got to know it. Plus our founders actually lived on this site in one of the buildings over there, so we had a chance to visit them every once in a while. So I knew what this place was long before it is what it is today. Well, this development really started with the kernel of an idea that said we own a number of properties in this block. What is the best thing that we can do in order to make these older properties into something that would be special and last for the next generation? They were dated, frankly. Some of the buildings were obsolete. They needed renovation. So the notion was, how can we improve the properties that we own, and yet at the same time, can we do a development that will serve as a catalyst for the redevelopment and the reinvigoration of Waikiki? How can we create an attraction that is open and green and fun?
But I think the concept was, if you allowed them to build up higher, you would create more area at the ground level that would be pedestrian friendly.
People are always hesitant about change, but you have to have a vision of where you're going to go.
Outrigger's plans were spot on, and it was going to make it a better place.
I remember the day they took down the Edgewater, because that was a real landmark occasion, because that really had been my parents' first hotel. So it all came together to make it possible to design the space as it is now, which is far more open, far more pedestrian friendly, and far more beautiful than it was back in the old days.
We took some properties, put new ideas on them, along with exciting retail to make the place happen.
We are maintaining and continuing the tradition of Hawaiianness and Hawaiian music right here in the center of. You're not in Acapulco, you're not in Cancun, you're in Hawaii, and it feels like you're in Hawaii.
We wanted to create an attraction where the tourists and the locals would be happy and comfortable together. And we're now known as a place where locals feel as comfortable as the tourists.
It's become the gathering place.
Outrigger has evolved quite a bit from the time when my parents operated and owned the single hotel on Seaside Avenue.
Certainly has continued that legacy of what the Kelleys have been known for throughout the years.
But I think the most exciting thing for us was to actually be able to dream about a different vision. What we have done has really lifted all of Waikiki. We were able to put it all together and create what I consider a masterpiece for our community.
It's a very exciting project. Waikiki is one of the most exciting, vibrant, pleasant, enjoyable resort areas in the world.
Good for Outrigger, good for Waikiki, good for Hawaii.